What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the show. This episode is courtesy of D's Fantastic Toys. That's where I got my Mezco Harley Quinn Deluxe action figure, and you can get other Mezco action figures as well. I'm Rob Banks, and you're watching the Red Cup Review. You're home for non-biased action figure reviews, unless we tell you ahead of time. Let's get on with the program. Few things can drop an action figure down from being absolutely perfect. Her head sculpts are not one of them. As a matter of fact, all three of them are very great. This is my second favorite, although there are some slight inconsistencies. With this head sculpt in particular, it's actually still pretty damn well done, and I absolutely love what they're doing with the paintwork on the inside of the mouth and her eyes as far as the glossiness goes. So this overgloss on her eyes really makes it look you know, a lot more realistic and human, which is nice. The glossy work on the inside of the mouth, on the tongue especially, gives it that wet effect, and across the front of her teeth, which is very nice. However, the paintwork is not consistent from the back of her mouth to the tip of her tongue, where you have a little bit of a white spot there, and there's different reds and pinks on the tongue itself, which gives it a little bit more realism, which is nice. There is absolutely no bleeding between the blacks on her lipstick and around her domino mask, and on her mask itself, which is really well done. And the flat white that they use for the actual face itself is very nice and not shiny, so it doesn't look plasticky and figure-like. Now, the two-tone color that they're using on the top of her head sculpt here, from the black on this side to the red on this side, the red is more of a flat color, which is nice because it lends itself to a more realistic type cloth material, whereas the black has that leathery, shiny effect, which is very cool. Right, so the head sculpt, if it wasn't for the little nit on the tongue, would be a 5 out of 5. Second portrait coming right up, and my least favorite of the three, although it is not a bad portrait in and of itself. I love the smirk. It captures the identity of Harley, which is very nice. Here's something I didn't point out on the other head sculpt, but all three of them have, and that's the blue of her eyes. She actually has great irises, right? The blacks and the blues look great. And the actual little shine from the, you see how it gleams over in this corner in the bottom, right underneath the iris right there. It kind of has that shine. That's actually the light bouncing off of her eyes from the reflectiveness. So that's also very well done. Smart move on Mezco's part. Portrait number 3, and my absolute favorite of the bunch, is this Harley Quinn unmasked head. There's a lot of things I like about it. One thing I'm not too crazy about. Let's get that right out of the way. The detail in the hair is excellent. I wish they would have added just a smidge of black wash to really bring out the details, because the strands of hair are very well sculpted and excellently well done. Now, one thing I really love about this is the fact that you can see that her face isn't as bright white as the other versions of Harley. Right, you could actually see a little bit of yellowing or beigeness, right? And that's her natural skin color kind of showing through, right? As if she almost like just took her mask off and a little bit of the white paint rubbed off, so it gives a little bit more of a realistic effect. I love that. Also, notice her eyes. You got the mascara kind of running a little bit. Her eyes are a little bit more bloodshot. She's flustered. She's angry. This is straight psycho killer, straight up like her most jokery, crazy version of Harley. Well, I don't know about jokery, like crazy Joker, not ha 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 Joker, more just like straight up psycho killer, natural born killers version of Harley, so to speak. I love it. I love the look. You can really get a lot of expressiveness by tilting the head. She looks lovely, and it still has the reflectiveness of the whites, of the lights off of the whites of her eyes, even though those are kind of bloodshot. And she just looks like she's had it. She's ready to just, give Mr. J the business. You know what I'm saying? Height comparison time. You can see here that Joker is about 3/4 of a head taller than Harley Quinn, and same thing to Batman to the top of his ears. She's the same height as Catwoman because they are on the same buck, and I'm okay with that because in a perfect world, let's face it, we would have multiple different bucks for multiple different characters, but that's just not the way companies operate. I am happy with it though. She stacks up nicely, and I'm not going to put my figures in a usual suspects kind of like lineup like this. Normally some characters either standing straight up, some are bent at the knee, crouched down, so that'll help, hide the height differentials, the minor height differentials therein from the characters. And I also don't compare them with other lines because personally I keep my Mezcos with my Mezcos. So here you have it. This is the way Harley Quinn stacks up with some of the other Batman characters. In this part of the video, we're going to take a look at the outfit, the articulation, the ups and downs, and what I think of this thing. Now, first, the good. She presents like a 5-star figure. However, I'm only giving her 3 out of 5 cups because there's just an avalanche of nits that just build and build and build and eventually send a great-looking figure crashing down. I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but I don't give a fuck. So, Harley Quinn looks great. She's got a lot of fun factor and a lot of accessories and a lot of expressiveness in her face and her head sculpt. And if you actually know what you're doing, she could be a great figure. However, that does come at a cost, and some of those costs could mean a broken action figure. And in my opinion, that's what brings it down, down, down. Although 3 out of 5 still isn't. 3 out of 5 ain't bad. All right, here's the bad. Okay, my figure, along with many others, suffers from the broken wrist peg syndrome. Now, my wrist peg didn't break, but she does have very, very small wrist pegs that will break pretty easily if you're not careful when it comes to switching out the hands. Also, my figure has the 2 different lengths of legs. Look at that. So when you go to stand her up, she's a huge pain in the neck. I know it's blurry, but you guys get the idea when it comes to standing her straight up. The legs are definitely 2 different lengths. Now, going from the feet up, as far as the articulation goes, front to back on the ankles is fine, but the side-to-side ankle motion is basically non-existent, and that's also a pain in the neck when getting her to stand up straight. She's on the original female buck. She still has the single jointed elbows. Aren't we past this by now? Apparently not. It's just something we're going to have to deal with. You can still get her into some pretty great poses, as you'll see in the next section. However, it is the female buck that is holding her back. It's basically the same thing as Catwoman. Except I can get even better poses with Catwoman, because over here, look, her side-to-side waist articulation is basically non-existent. She bends back pretty darn well as far as the arch in her back goes, but bending forward, there's almost no forward ab crunch at all. Now, her head rotates really well. It's, you know, very expressive. Again, be careful when it comes to bringing the arms up ever so high, because you're going to want to re-rotate the outfit back down. Watch that seam. As you bring up, make sure you rotate not just here at the elbow, but the arm joint itself. Here's another thing. Don't just grab your figure and bend. That's how these things snap. You want to grab and feel for where the joint is and bring it up and bend there. So be careful there. Also be careful when bending the knee back, that when you bend it back forward, that the knee joint doesn't catch the fabric, because that's another problem that you could potentially run into. Her collar is a little silly. It's probably the worst part of the figure. It's not awful, but it ain't really that great either. The balls will probably rip off pretty easily. Although, look, man, from afar, it doesn't really look that bad at all. It's just when you get up on it, it's not really that great. It's just kind of like floating on her neck. It doesn't even really sit flush against her shoulders either. But again, she has a lot of fun, different things, as you can see in some of the photos we're going to show you, that you can do with her. But you got to put the care in. This is a figure that needs a lot of TLC in order to get the most out of it, all right? I don't care what anybody else says. She looks great, but looking great and actually functioning the way you're supposed to are 2 totally different things. And what does that mean? What does it mean to function the way you're supposed to? It's a damn action figure, for Christ's sakes. Time to take a look at the accessories, and this is my favorite out of the bunch because it is the most unique. It is a non-articulated, it's straight plastic, but it just shows you how crazy Harley is to have a doll of the Joker with the X's over the eyes stitched in, which is really cool. It's kind of chewed up and beat up a little bit. I can almost imagine how hyenas going to work on this doll, but it's very well executed. Lots of nice little detail and paintwork as far as the doll goes. It looks like a doll. It works. Now moving along to her rocket launcher. Her rocket launcher has a lot of brush work on it. It's got a nice little body count, if that's what you want to say on there. It's actually 12. The arm over here articulates. Be careful. She has a little bit of an issue holding it. However, this part articulates out also and pulls out, so it's like she's ready for action. And then, put that aside for a second, you have the actual rocket that shoots out of the rocket launcher, which is pretty cool. Solid molded plastic, very heavy, not heavy, very sturdy rather, my bad. And it goes from pure white all the way up to a darker gray with some mixed in there too. So that's very cool, very well done. Then you take the end of that, you put it in any one of these holes that you want, and it makes it look like the rocket is shooting straight out of the rocket launcher, which is very cool. Moving along to the mallet. The mallet is very nice. It looks wooden, a lot of nice brushwork. I'm repeating myself a lot here, but that's, listen, man, the paintwork is nice, you know? I like this, the work of this, where it's supposed to like look like it's wrapped in like those little steel wrappings or iron wrappings. That's very cool. I wish this version also had something written across here, the way the other A Play for Keeps version does, but it's got nice wrappings and it looks cool. All right, very well done. Moving along to the bomb. The bomb has a little bit of a lit wick, and it's got the lipstick on it. Pretty much just pointing out the obvious here, right? Interesting, neat little accessory there. Here's something that's really, really well done. The paintwork on the pop gun is excellent. You got to be super careful with the hammer here, though. I almost bent and broke mine. You can see the stress marks are already starting to affect it right there in that corner. But the paintwork, look, for Batman. And then on the front, you actually have the bat symbol with 2 X's over the bat's eyes, which is very cool. It doesn't fall out very easily, or if at all, and then you can just kind of pop it out and let the cork hang there. Very well done. This is excellent, excellent paintwork. Look, even the trigger has the silver on it. This is like the best painted accessory right here. Very well done. And then she has a grenade, right? So the grenade is multicolored, and it doesn't look like a flat black, which is pretty cool, and that works also for realism.